I never thought turning 30 would feel like being thrown back into kindergarten. But my mother-in-law, Diana, had a special talent for making me feel like a 5-year-old playing dress-up in an adult's world. The morning of my birthday started with such promise. My husband, Michael, surprised me with breakfast in bed, complete with my favorite blueberry pancakes and fresh coffee. But as I sat there savoring each bite, my phone lit up with Diana's name, and my stomach instantly nodded. "Happy birthday, Angela," she chirped, her voice dripping with that artificial sweetness I'd grown to dread. "We're all so excited for your party tonight. I have the most perfect gift for you." Something in her tone made my skin crawl, but I forced myself to sound grateful. "Thank you, Diana. That's very thoughtful." "Well, someone has to look out for you, dear," she replied. "We can't have any more incidents, can we?" The incident she referred to was a minor fender bender 3 months ago, completely not my fault, as the police report clearly showed. But Diana had turned it into her personal crusade to prove I wasn't responsible enough to drive, constantly bringing it up at family gatherings and making snide comments about my reckless nature. Michael squeezed my hand as I hung up, reading the tension in my face. "Mom's just protective," he offered weakly. "She means well." Protective? I couldn't help but laugh. "Michael, she sent me a children's cookbook last week because she doesn't trust me to feed you properly." He winced, remembering how his mother had attached a note saying, "Since you struggle with adult recipes, dear, let's start with the basics." I've been a professional chef for 8 years. The party was set for 6 p.m. at our house, and I spent the morning preparing, trying to prove I could host a perfect adult gathering. I made everything from scratch: sophisticated appetizers, a 3-tiered birthday cake that would make any pastry chef proud, and even handcrafted cocktails. The house was spotless, decorated with elegant touches that screamed, "A mature adult lives here." Diana arrived early, of course. "Oh, sweetie," she said, eyeing my carefully arranged charcuterie board. "Did you follow a YouTube tutorial for this? It's cute." She immediately began rearranging everything, humming under her breath. "Let me fix this before the real guests arrive." I bit my tongue so hard I tasted blood. Michael was in the garage getting ice, conveniently missing another of his mother's subtle jabs. The guests started arriving at 6, Michael's sisters, Emma and Kate, his aunt and uncle, several close friends. Diana held court in the living room, telling everyone who would listen about how I'd almost killed myself in that fender bender, and how worried she was about my developmental delays. Finally, it was time for gifts. I sat in the center of the room, trying to maintain my dignity as Diana insisted everyone watch me open presents, just like when Michael was little. Each gift was lovely: a vintage wine from my best friend, a spa day from Michael's sisters, a beautiful leather handbag from my husband. Then Diana stepped forward, hauling a massive wrapped box. "I saved the best for last," she announced, her eyes glittering. "Something every child, young person, needs." The room went quiet as I unwrapped the box. Inside was a car seat. Not just any car seat, a child's booster seat, decorated with cartoon characters and safety stickers. "Since you have trouble driving safely," Diana announced to the silent room, "I thought this might help. It's important to start with the basics at your level of development." I heard gasps, saw Michael's sisters exchange horrified glances. My hands trembled as I stared at the insulting gift. "Mom." Michael finally found his voice. "This is completely inappropriate." But Diana wasn't finished. She pulled out a gift bag. And to go with it, she produced a set of plastic plates with divided sections, like those used for toddlers, for when you're cooking, so you don't get overwhelmed with regular dishes. The room was so quiet you could hear a pin drop. I saw pity in some faces, shock in others. Michael looked like he wanted the floor to swallow him whole. I stood up slowly, smoothing my dress. "Thank you, Diana," I said, my voice steady despite the anger burning in my chest. "Actually, I have something for you too." Her smug smile faltered slightly. "For me? But it's your birthday, dear." "I've been saving it for a special occasion," I replied, walking to my office, "and I can't think of a better time than now." As I retrieved the envelope from my desk drawer, my hands stopped shaking. Sometimes enough is simply enough. I returned to the living room, where Diana sat perched on her throne-like chair, still wearing that condescending smile. "I hope you'll find this as educational as your gifts to me," I said, handing her the envelope. "Please open it now," I insist. Diana's perfectly manicured fingers tore open the envelope, her expression confident, almost bored. But as she pulled out the contents, that expression changed. The color drained from her face as she stared at the papers in her trembling hands. This isn't," she stammered, looking up at me with wide eyes. I smiled, feeling calmer than I had in months. "Is something wrong, Diana? You look like you've seen a ghost." The papers in Diana's hands were crisp, official, and devastating. Every online review she'd left about my restaurant under fake names, every manipulative email she'd sent to my suppliers trying to sabotage my business, and most importantly, security camera stills showing her tampering with my car's brake lines 3 months ago, right before my reckless accident. "I don't understand," Emma whispered, peering over her mother's shoulder. "Mom, what is all this?" Diana's hands shook so violently the papers scattered across her lap. These are obviously fabricated," she sputtered, but her face had gone ghostly pale. "Angela is trying to make me look bad because she can't handle constructive criticism." I picked up one of the fallen papers. "Shall I read this email you sent to my meat supplier? The one where you claimed my restaurant was under investigation for health code violations." My voice was steady as I turned to address our guests. "Or maybe we should talk about how my accident happened right after I told Michael I was thinking of opening a second location." Michael grabbed the security camera stills, his face darkening as he studied them. "Mom, is this you? In our garage? The night before Angela's accident?" Diana stood up so quickly her chair toppled backward. "Michael, darling, you can't possibly believe." "I can see you clearly, Mom," he cut her off, his voice tight with anger. "You're wearing the same red coat you had on at dinner that night. I remember because you complained about the restaurant being too cold." The room erupted in murmurs. Aunt Linda moved closer to examine the photos, gasping when she recognized her sister-in-law's distinctive coat and signature movements. "I've spent the last 3 months wondering if I was going crazy," I continued, maintaining my composure. "The brake line damage looked deliberate, but I couldn't prove it. Then last week, our garage security camera footage finally finished uploading to the cloud backup. Footage I didn't even know Michael had set up." "You could have killed her," Kate whispered, staring at her mother in horror. "Your own daughter-in-law." Diana's face twisted, her carefully maintained facade cracking. "She's ruining everything," she shrieked, jabbing a finger in my direction. "Ever since she came into our lives, taking my Michael away, acting so perfect with her fancy restaurant and her cooking skills. He was supposed to marry Olivia from church, someone who would respect me, someone who would know her place." "Her place?" Michael's voice was dangerously quiet. "Like at the kids' table? Using plastic plates? Riding in a car seat?" I stepped forward, facing Diana directly. "I found all the reviews too, dozens of fake accounts, all posting 1-star reviews about food poisoning, all traced back to your IP address. Did you really think I wouldn't figure it out? That I wouldn't protect my business? You ungrateful little..." Diana lunged forward, but Emma and Kate quickly grabbed their mother's arms, holding her back. "I think," Aunt Linda said firmly, "it's time for Diana to leave." She turned to me, her eyes filled with remorse. "Angela, I am so sorry. We had no idea." Michael was still staring at the security footage, his knuckles white where he gripped the paper. "The police need to see this," he said quietly. "Mom, you could have killed her. This wasn't just meanness or pettiness. This was attempted murder." "Murder?" Diana's voice rose hysterically. "Don't be ridiculous. I just wanted to teach her a lesson about safe driving." If she'd been paying attention, she would have noticed the brakes feeling soft. The silence that followed her admission was deafening. Even Diana seemed to realize what she just confessed. "I've already spoken to the police," I said into the quiet. "They're reviewing all the evidence. I wanted to give you a chance to explain yourself first, Diana, to apologize, to show some remorse. I picked up the car seat she'd given me. Instead, you brought me this. You're pressing charges." Diana's voice quavered, her eyes darting around the room, looking for allies but finding none. "Yes," I replied simply, "and I filed for a restraining order. The hearing is next week." I turned to my husband. "I'm sorry, Michael. I know this isn't how you wanted to spend my birthday." Michael wrapped his arm around my waist, pulling me close. "Don't apologize. I'm the one who should be sorry. I should have seen what she was doing to you, should have stopped it years ago." The sound of sirens in the distance made Diana's head snap up. You called them already? But it's your birthday party. Actually, Emma said, her phone in hand. I called them. As soon as I saw those photos. She looked at her mother with tears in her eyes. You need help, Mom? Real help. As the police led Diana away in handcuffs, she kept looking back at Michael, perhaps expecting him to intervene. But he stood firmly beside me, his arm around my shoulders, as his mother was escorted to the waiting patrol car. After she was gone, the party guests slowly dispersed, each offering awkward apologies and stunned condolences. Emma and Kate stayed behind to help clean up, both still processing their mother's true nature. I can't believe she did all this, Kate said, carefully wrapping leftover appetizers. How long has she been like this? I exchanged glances with Michael. I think she's always been controlling, he admitted. But this level of violence, this is new and terrifying. 6 months after my disastrous birthday party, life had settled into a new normal. Diana pleaded guilty to attempted vehicular manslaughter and cyber harassment, accepting a plea deal that included mandatory psychiatric treatment. The restraining order was made permanent, and Michael hadn't spoken to his mother since that night, despite her numerous attempts to contact him through her lawyers. I was in my restaurant's kitchen, putting the finishing touches on a new seasonal menu, when Emma and Kate arrived for our weekly lunch meeting. These sister-in-law lunches had become our healing ritual, a way to rebuild family bonds that Diana had nearly destroyed. The appetizers smell amazing, Emma said, settling into what had become her regular seat at the chef's table. Is that the truffle risotto you've been experimenting with? I nodded, sliding perfectly plated portions in front of them. New fall menu item. I figured if I'm finally opening that second location, I should go all out. Kate's eyes lit up. You're doing it? You're really expanding. Signed the lease yesterday, I confirmed, unable to contain my smile. Michael's helping with the renovations. We're aiming for a spring opening. Mom would hate this, Emma mused, then quickly added, which means it's absolutely perfect. She reached across the table to squeeze my hand. I'm so sorry we didn't see what was happening sooner, Angela. All those years of her subtle digs, the manipulation. Hey, I interrupted gently, we've been through this. None of it was your fault. Diana made her own choices. Kate pushed her empty plate away, looking thoughtful. Did you hear she's been writing to Michael again? From the treatment facility? I nodded. The letters arrived like clockwork every week, each one thicker than the last. Michael stacked them unopened in his office drawer. He's not ready, I said simply. Maybe he never will be. And that's okay. The therapist says she's making progress, Emma offered, actually accepting responsibility for her actions instead of just playing the victim. But, she trailed off, stirring her coffee. But it doesn't erase what she did. I finished for her. Nothing ever will. The bell above the restaurant door chimed, and Michael walked in, still wearing his work clothes from the construction site. He'd taken on the renovation project for the new restaurant personally, pouring his grief and anger into creating something positive. Ladies, he greeted his sisters with quick hugs before kissing my cheek. How's the new menu tasting? Incredible, Kate assured him. The second location won't know what hit it. Michael beamed with pride, but I could see the shadow in his eyes. Today marked 6 months since Diana's arrest, and the weight of that anniversary hung heavy in the air. I opened one of her letters, he admitted quietly. The room went still. She's different. The treatment seems to be working. She actually apologized, not just for the accident, but for everything. The way she treated you, the sabotage, the years of manipulation. I took his hand, feeling the rough calluses from his work on the new restaurant. How do you feel about that? He squeezed my fingers. Confused, angry still, but also, I don't know. She's still our mother. He looked at his sisters. But she's not the same woman who raised us. Maybe she never was who we thought she was. We don't have to decide anything now, Emma said softly, or ever really. What she did, she shuddered. It changes everything. I served Michael a plate of risotto, watching as he savored the first bite. This was our new normal, family meals without walking on eggshells, honest conversations without manipulation, love without conditions. The new restaurant, I said carefully, I was thinking of calling it Phoenix. You know, rising from the ashes and all that. Kate laughed, the sound bright and genuine. Much better than Diana's karma. Which was my first choice, Michael added with a wink, and we all chuckled, the tension breaking. Later that night, as Michael and I curled up on our couch, he handed me an envelope. Happy 6-month birthday recovery, he joked, but his eyes were serious. Inside was a set of keys. The new restaurant? I asked, confused. But we already have those. Look closer, he urged. The keychain held a small silver phoenix charm, its wings spread wide. I had it custom made, Michael explained, to remind us that sometimes the worst moments in life can lead to beautiful new beginnings. I clutched the keys to my chest, feeling tears well up. We're going to be okay, aren't we? He pulled me closer. We already are. And hey, at least now we have a great story to tell at parties about how my mom gave you a car seat for your birthday and ended up giving us our freedom instead. Through the window, I could see the stars twinkling in the night sky. Somewhere, Diana was in her treatment facility, perhaps finally facing her demons. But here, in our home, surrounded by the love of true family, the kind that builds you up instead of tearing you down, I had never felt stronger. To new beginnings, I said.